Welcome to the Note to Self podcast. I'm your host, Zoe Ariel, an adventurous entrepreneur who loves to make the most out of life. I'm a certified professional life coach, digital course creator, verified YouTuber, and published author. On this podcast, you can expect actionable tips, reflections, and inspiration to live your best, most fulfilling life. So, let's get started. Hello, angels. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Welcome back to Note to Self. In today's Note to Self, I'm going to be talking to you about how the breakdown is always leading you to the breakthrough. So for me in my life presently, there's been a lot that's been breaking down, and I'm going to be popping in here soon to be sharing some really vulnerable aspects of that. And I also just want to acknowledge you wherever you find yourself in this moment. If there is a part of you that's dismantling, a part of you that feels like it's breaking down or deconstructing, I want to validate that can feel deeply uncomfortable. It can feel like intense sadness or anger or rage even. It can feel heavy and all the feels. But I want to remind you to think back and ask yourself, think about this in this moment right now. What have I been calling into my life? What have I been manifesting or intending for? And for me personally, you guys know I'm calling in my king, calling him in. And this has actually allowed me to gain a lot more perspective and zoom out of the heaviness or like the intensity of things sometimes, because what I'm presently dismantling and healing in my reality is everything to do with the masculine and men and relationships and the relationship I have with my dad and things that had not been addressed in the past or healed or that were calling to be healed. And sometimes just zooming out and allowing ourselves to tune into what have I been calling in, and then, okay, what's presenting itself right now? We can really see that we are in the bridge of incidents, as in we are in the unfolding of our desired manifestations, our dream life. The Bridge of Incidents is something that Lo and I educate people on in the Quantum Creators course. Those of you guys who are not Quantum Creators alumni, and maybe you've heard about this course because we launch it quite often, we're moving into our 4th year of Quantum Creators, and each time that we launch it, there's always added bonuses. So it's now actually a 5-week course as of the last time that we launched it. And it's all about quantum physics and really creating an entirely new reality for yourself and understanding how to quantum leap. And in that transformation, of course, there is quantum leaps that occur in people's realities, and those success stories are amazing. You can read them on the sales page. But one of my favorite things is like the internal transformation that people have, because they see themselves as insanely powerful. They remember who they are. And that transformation is absolutely priceless. And the reason why I'm talking about this to you right now is because Lo and I have actually come to the place where we're deciding that Quantum Creators, starting 2023, is going to be something that we're offering evergreen now. As in, it was something that we launched twice a year only. And we'd always have people asking to come in. Those of you who are listening, some of you have been let in. We often just would allow people into the program. And each time we do launch it, everyone gets access to all of the live rounds. Doesn't matter if you've been here from the beginning or you're in the last round, you get access to everything in the course, all of the hours and hours of bonus content. And to celebrate the fact that Lo and I are now making this something that's accessible all the time, because this is truly the information that the world needs all the time, is we are having a very special Black Friday sale. It's going to be 3 days only, and Quantum Creators is going on for 50% off. So this means Quantum Creators is going to be available for 3 days only for $444. 444. If that's your angel number, it's mine too. But anyways, it's going to be the only time that Lo and I ever offer it at this discounted rate. It was actually only ever this inexpensive the first year that we launched the course. And that's because there is hours of incredible content. There is insanely incredible testimonials, and it just really is the course that changes lives and changes your life for the better. So that is now available through the link down below. You can be the first to know when it does go on sale, and if you've thought about it, if you've been on the fence any other time that we've launched it, like this is the time to get in, because also in 2023, we're going to be upping the price of it. So this is your chance to get in at the most accessible price point. So I invite all of you beautiful quantum creators in who are feeling the call. And there's also a masterclass on Creator, basically the identity of a master manifestor. If quantum stuff interests you, you can go ahead and watch that masterclass for free. It's one of the bonuses in the Quantum Creators course, just so you can get a feel for what we're offering here. Back to my story, back to today's episode about how the breakdown is always leading into the breakthrough. The bridge of incidents, like when you have a true understanding of what happens when you set an intention into the universe, into the quantum field, there is this divine orchestration that happens that is the bridge of incidents. And that's basically the unfolding, or what needs to happen for your quantum leap or your desired manifestation to reach you. And what's been showing up in my reality as I've been calling in my king is, and especially in this last week, has really been healing my relationship with my father. Right now, my dad is actually visiting me in Bali from Canada. And what happened, or how this sort of unfolded, this deeper level of healing that's occurred in the last week, was I noticed that I was having anger and rage manifest itself in my body and in my being. And I was using my tools. I was showing up to do my work as I was prompted. But what I started to really realize was that there was a younger Zoe who really needed to be heard and seen for where she was at. And younger me was raging, was so mad. And the reason why I was so angry, or why this part of me was so angry, was because for the first 13 years of my life, I was mainly under my mother's care. And my mother was very abusive to me every single day. And every single day was a challenge or a struggle. And that has resulted in many different patterns and conditions and things that I've had to undo in my life. And younger Zoe just wanted her dad to protect her, right? The father, or the masculine, is here to provide and to protect. And younger me didn't feel protected, didn't feel provided for, especially under my mother's care. In fact, my reality felt, and my childhood felt, completely unsafe and unstable. And those of you who have also experienced abuse in your childhood, I feel like you can definitely relate that a lot of the deeper healing that you have to do is around feeling safe to be on planet Earth, feeling safe to be in your body. And this anger and rage, as much as like it was so incredibly challenging, when it really started to come to this critical mass point, it actually allowed for like the biggest breakdown I've ever had, which has allowed for the biggest breakthrough that I can say that I've had in a long time. I mean, I've had pretty incredible breakthroughs in different spaces and times in my life, but this was something I never thought I would do, or I never thought I would see in myself. And what ended up happening was I just couldn't hide my emotions. And I want to say hide as in like, you know, sometimes we are like experiencing a mood, let's say, and I was experiencing a mood because I had all this like anger and rage that I was trying my best to transmute, but I wasn't fully getting it all. And I believe that I wasn't fully able to get it all because I needed to use my voice, and it wouldn't have been possible if I didn't sort of have this outburst. So what ended up happening, I'm going to give a long story short. I was in the kitchen and my dad was there, and I think he could tell that I was just like not happy. Like I just didn't have a smile on my face and I was really stressed out, and he gave me a hug and I just instantly started crying. Like I just couldn't hold it in. And he's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Dad, I'm just alone. Like I'm just so tired of being alone, of doing this life alone. And I feel like God's not listening to me." I'm just speaking to you from like the place that I was in. I feel like God's not listening to me. And like, I'm holding my life together, but like the foundation and what I've become so clear of is like everything that I've created has been from this place of trying to manufacture like safety and stability. Like, let's say in terms of like my business and my career and like entrepreneurship, like it's beautiful. I'm so proud of everything that I create. I absolutely love everything that I've created, but there's actually been part of the foundation that like I've continuously created and been so much in my masculine about that, because I felt like I had to. Like I felt like I have to be the one to hold it all together, to establish this safety and security. And a way that I feel that is through money. So it's just like really prompted this deeper level of healing. And I broke down and I just like was honest with my dad. Like, I feel like God's not listening to me because I've been praying for my king. I literally use the words like divine masculine and king to my dad. Like, I'm just like, what you hear on this podcast is like what you get, you guys. Like, I'm just like the same person all around. So I'm like, Dad, I'm like literally in tears. I'm like, I just keep praying for my king. And I just feel like I'm so far away and I don't know what to do. And I feel like I'm struggling. And so I had this really deep conversation with my dad and my stepmom about it. And I broke down a bit and never thought I would get to that place. Then the next day I went to go see my shaman and I had a really deep unpacking of my childhood, and that was really powerful and profound for me. But what ended up happening was that when I got home, I knew that I needed to have a conversation with my dad, because I felt like what needs to be healed here is having a conversation about younger me, who is and who has been very angry at my father because I didn't feel like I was protected, or in ways like, let's say, I mean, for lack of a better term, I think you guys get what I'm talking about, like saved when I was like a child. Like, I was under my mother's care until legally I could make a decision to move in with my dad. But like at that point, 13 years of abuse, like what that does to a human. And it's just all been here, right? Like, I feel like my childhood has been staring me in the face. Like, young Zoe has been staring me in the face, demanding answers of like, why did it take so long for my dad to come get me? Like, why did it take so long? And I didn't have the answers. But in having this breakdown in front of my dad, it actually allowed me to get my answers, because we had the most honest and vulnerable and raw and real conversation that we've ever had about my childhood. And I was able to ask questions and get answers about my mother, about what happened when I was born and what happened after I was born. And I understood that, like, you know, there was some threats from my mom about taking full custody of me and my brother and suing my dad. Like, I just didn't know all of that stuff, but I could really see my dad in a new light, having this conscious conversation about what my childhood looked like with my dad. And to hear him say the things that he said, or tell me the things that he told me, I was able to just access this level of forgiveness for him, which I know my dad was always doing the best that he could with what he had, but like, younger Zoe needed to hear these things so that she could forgive him for not coming. Because I know how threatening my mother was, but I didn't know that she was also threatening to my father in those type of ways. And I also was able to put myself in my dad's shoes. My dad said, you know, your mother was not the woman who I thought she was, like, when I married her. After she had you, like, this is what occurred. And I was thinking, I'm like, wow, my dad was 31 when I was born, and to have a child and then have the person that you thought you were going to spend the rest of your life with start to behave and act and threat in these ways, like, that must have been so challenging. And none of this healing conversation would have happened if I didn't allow myself to just be vulnerable in front of the masculine. I think this is also part of the Bridge of Incidents, is that I'm learning to be vulnerable in front of the masculine. I've always felt like I had to hold it together and not be too emotional, not be too much, right? That story of being too much. But what happened here was, like, I had to erupt, right? Or else this healing would not have happened, because me erupting, like me not being able to like hold it together, is the only way that these conversations would have happened. I had to hit this like eruption point, or this critical mass point, or these conversations wouldn't have happened. So instead of judging myself about like, wow, Zoe, you really like just came undone and like was crying and doing all the things and like, you know, just erupting, I don't really know what else to call it, expressing this huge turn of events and this huge massive healing around my childhood and my relationship with my mother and my dad and my relationship with my childhood. Like, none of this would have happened if I didn't allow for the breakdown. And what I want to say here is that your emotions are all valid and they're all teachers. And the body has so much sacred wisdom inside of it. If you just let it do its thing, if you just let it express, there's always treasures and there's always gems. And in this way, my expression and my breakdown came in a way that I never thought it would actually occur. I never thought it would actually come undone like that in front of my dad. But it was the most healing conversation I've ever had in my life. And I feel incredibly spacious. And none of that would have been possible if I didn't give myself permission to break down. It was in me putting down the guard of I need to have it all together that allowed for me to have the biggest breakthrough and just the most important breakthrough that I could have at this point in my life. So wherever you find yourself, I love you so much. I'm sending you so much love. Whatever's breaking down, let this be your message, the note that you need, that it's breaking down so you can have your greatest breakthrough. It's breaking down so that you can achieve and you can experience the fulfillment that you've been calling into your life, right? The manifestations that you've been calling in, the change in yourself that you've been desiring to see. It's all happening for you, and just allow yourself to come undone. It's safe. It's safe to feel your emotions. And in that way too, I just feel called to share, because we talked about Quantum Creators courses, like your emotions have nothing to do with your ability to create quantum leaps and the results that you desire to have in your life. You are a powerful creator, and that doesn't mean that you have to suppress the emotions. I feel like this is one reason why I'm so passionate about the Quantum Creators course, is that we really give people permission to liberate themselves from making themselves wrong of feeling their emotions. Worryception is something we speak about in that course, where you might be experiencing worry or anxiety, and then worry or have anxiety about your anxiety because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to create things that I don't want. It's not like that. The healing journey and your experience as a conscious creator of your reality, they are separate. But as you heal, of course, your vibration rises, and then you can manifest and, let's say, magnetize better opportunities and experiences to yourself with more ease. But it doesn't have to, it's not solely dependent on you healing. Your emotions are allowed to flow through you, and it doesn't mean that you're going to create bad things because you're feeling things that feel uncomfortable, like sadness or anger. Anyways, I love you guys so much, and welcome in all of your beautiful, beautiful breakthroughs. Thanks for listening to Note to Self. If you enjoyed this episode, please help me out by rating and reviewing this show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If my energy is resonating with you and you feel the call to work with me, there are an abundance of ways to do so. I offer one-to-one life coaching programs, mastermind containers, and DIY courses, all of which are available through my website, zoeariel.co. Until next time, take note of all the abundance that surrounds you as you make the most of this game called life.